Hold on one second, okay. We will open the Selectmen's meeting July 3rd, 2014. Let the time show 2 p.m. Let the record show that Selectman LaPlante is on vacation. Yeah, yippee, I wish I...
Yippee for him.
I wish I was. Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
Okay, me too. All right, I'll make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3. That which discussed in public would be adversely affect the reputation of others and sale of property.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
And we're up. And we're at.
Is that what that list thing was for?
Seal the
Is that,
minutes of the
it's, so it's not
non-public
something that
session
a selectman or a board or committee member would use? This is strictly for you to go in and do the insurance stuff.
Reputation of a town person.
Oh, yeah.
Health insurance.
Right.
But that one is for the,
Second.
listening to you, Joe? Make sure that all the updates are in.
Anyone listening?
But I mean, it's for
Pat
work.
was looking right at me.
It's not
I
for,
seconded it.
if I want a legal inquiry or, okay.
All right, a motion has been made to seal the minutes in non-public as they pertain to adversely affecting the reputation of permanently, and as far as the abatement is concerned, permanently. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, Joyce.
Minutes next, or is it the...
No, you go.
Let's start with Ernie's.
Yay.
Let's start with Ernie.
It's all Bill Lambert's confirmation.
So,
Nice
let it be
job.
known for the minutes. Thank you, Selectmen. We do not have to have a crosswalk where the trail terminates at the Ernie site.
Well, I'm glad they confirmed it. I'd never vote for that.
Okay, the next important thing to discuss is on Monday morning, I got a phone call from Glenn Smith saying that he and Lisa Martin and Jim Bouchard needed to come over and talk to us right away. And at that point, I thought I was doing payroll that morning, so I said, well, how about 1:15? So I hung up, I called Chuck Mitchell, because he's Concom, told him he couldn't do it, he was tied up, but we made arrangements, we were going to meet later that afternoon to go look at the dirt. Catherine Dawson was, I called Selectman Constantino as chair, and Catherine Dawson was here, and Al LaPlante was here. And they said they could both make themselves available at 1:15. So I apologize if I didn't contact you two, but it was a Monday coming back from vacation.
I've been following all
Like-
that mail.
Like, you know, and it's like, okay, so, and Catherine, feel free at any time to interrupt, but the gist of their reason for meeting is that when they received the most recent set of plans, which I did send to everybody, right? Okay. Because I can dig them out here. That according to the fact that the Ernie's parcel is going to be completely encapsulated in accordance with their insurance, Quantum's insurance, it is still considered to be a hazardous waste site.
Signed it.
Even though EPA is giving us a clean bill of health, and they have approved the method for cleaning it, that won't meet their insurance. So one of the options was to see if they could subcontract the trail work with Crederi Associates. So we got Crederi on the phone, and what Lisa said was that they would not agree to do that because they would still be liable. Even if they subcontracted and had somebody else that's ultimately their stamp, that they would be liable. So then we kind of sat there for a minute and tried to figure out what to do, and in talking with Rip, he said there would be money available within the Ernie's grant that could pay for the trail, because the trail itself, because the TE money will continue to pay for the trail in the railroad right-of-way, right up to where it abuts the Ernie's property line. We had already planned within our Ernie's grant that there would be access from our Ernie site, the parking lot or whatever, to plug into wherever this trail was going to go. So he didn't seem to think that that was going to be a big problem, as long as they sent over the design specs.
But it was always the intent that the DOT grant was going to pay for
Yes.
constructing the trail
Yes.
across Ernie's.
Yes, that is,
That's not so now.
and that's the big change, is that they can't use the DOT TE money to construct the trail across Ernie's. So we kind of walked through it some more, because and that's the reason I didn't bring it immediately to the Conservation Commission's attention, is because there were still some other people that needed to be contacted to even find out if this was possible. So we didn't have anything to present to the board or the Conservation Commission yet. So the next things, everybody seemed to agree, and actually this would kind of work out, because right now, the TE grant, they are under tremendous pressure for an August 1st deadline to be at final design. And now they're at the point where they're still waiting for us to give them our final design for the landscaping, which we still haven't a final design on that. I mean, it hasn't been officially accepted. So they're very nervous about being able to meet their deadlines, and if they don't meet that deadline, then all that TE money goes away, because it's all going away. So,
What is the holdup in the design of the,
well, we just got it on, what, Tuesday, Wednesday?
The only
Nobody's
thing that
had a chance to
hasn't
look at
taken
it.
place is the Conservation Commission hasn't said, I want forsythia, I want lilac, I want weigela, I want juniper, I want...
when did they meet?
The third Monday.
Right, well, I did talk to
Cutting it
Chuck
pretty close.
today, and he goes, well, we better call a meeting, and I said, yeah, that'd be great. So he's thinking about Monday, and I told him I'd call him after our meeting today, because I said, I haven't even made the full board aware of all this yet,
If
so...
we lose that money, because we're just trying to decide between hydrangea and lilacs,
Well, no, see, now, this is why this is a good thing. This is one of these blessings in disguise.
really?
At the time, we figured, because number one, well, we're not holding them up anymore. Because we're responsible. So the way they have to present it to DOT and to the federal highway people is that their plan is going to terminate at an existing trail. Because our trail was going to be built before their trail anyway. Ours is 2014, theirs is 2015. And because it's our trail, they can't tell us what to do. And because it's our trail, they couldn't make us have a crosswalk and lights, because it's not their money that's...
But they weren't making them have the crosswalk
Well,
and
we
lights.
didn't know until
They-
we just
The
got
way
that
they
email.
presented it.
They didn't know what they were doing. When WRTA went to them and said, we want a crosswalk.
Yep.
That's what initiated, because Ken Norton stood at that meeting over there. When we all said we don't want a crosswalk, Ken Norton, WRTA, said, we need to have a crosswalk
No.
for safety reasons.
Well, I heard him say it, but no, no.
But no, so, no. So that's the thing, it was,
So we aren't holding them up anymore for their grant. As soon as we all officially agree that,
Make sure.
yes, we're going to go forward with the Ernie's money building the trail.
Okay, August 1st, right?
Well, they really need a decision before August 1st.
Uh-huh.
The other thing is, before, the two other little holdups right now, and one of them we'll take care of tonight, three actually, is the signing of the driveway permit application. That was going to be our responsibility, so that's in the to be signed. The other thing is the power company did cut down the lines.
Already?
The trees. Cut down the trees. The lines are still there.
Different.
But I have to call Bill Smith, who's the engineer for PSNH, to get back to him and say, oh, great, thank you very much, the trees have been lopped off, so who's moving the pole now? Because when we met that day, he didn't know if it was going to be Fairpoint or PSNH. They didn't know where it was going to move, and...
but they didn't really agree to remove the pole. If you listen to that
No,
conversation.
but we kept saying that we could not
Show us
find
an
any
easement.
recorded easement.
Show us an easement.
And he kind of went, yeah, back in those days, they just kind of let anybody put a thing on anyway.
That was back in those days. We're here in these days.
That was our attitude, but, so there still may be a fight there.
Okay, so that's it. And I just thought of a fourth little holdup. So I've got to call Bill Smith. He's on my
Cheaper
list.
for them to move it.
Well, we
it would be
suggested
the fight.
underground,
Underground would be,
but then they'd have to deal with the contaminant.
Concom has to sign off on the final plan. When I spoke to Chuck again before I came up here, I guess they're going to be, some people still don't like the idea of the berm that was shown on this most recent plan, and a fence, and a couple other things, and they hadn't determined exactly yet what kind of trees or bushes that they wanted, and Crederi will have to know that.
I am
because-
hoping that this is not going to be held up because of trees and bushes. Seriously, I'm with Joe on this one. We have
And
been
remember
waiting
the
for
bridge.
2 years now for this to happen, a building to come down. When's the building coming down? When's the building coming down? And if we wait and wait and wait, we've had 2 years to decide what bushes we would like and what trees we would like. Now it's coming
they
to
have the
reality,
information
we shouldn't be holding up the
choose?
monies.
When's the meeting?
Should they be pink
He said
hydrangeas
that,
or white?
I told him I'd call him after this meeting, and then he said he would try and get the Conservation Commission together to meet Monday, first so you can be brought up to speed on who's going to be paying for the trail, which will be the Ernie's grant, not the TE grant, and secondly, to give the landscape
But
architect.
why, I don't understand why our Ernie's Brownsfield money is paying for the Winnipesaukee Trail.
It's paying for the landscaping of the Ernie's property, right?
No, it's paying for the trail.
It's going to, now it is being suggested that the Ernie's grant pay for the construction of the WRTA trail. Because the WRTA
When it hits our
grant,
property.
because
our
the
property line,
WRTA
right?
grant won't.
It isn't a WRTA grant, it's a DOT-TE
The
grant.
WRTA's grant.
So,
Their
Possessive.
So
grant,
why
the
are
grant
we
that they
using,
have.
we just had didn't we just have this conversation like a month or so ago on the Brownsfield money and said we were running low on the Brownsfield money because there was extra
Yeah.
monies having to take out with the decontamination of some of the stuff?
The hydraulic lift that
Right, the
wasn't
hydraulic
really
lift and
there.
the change orders and all
Yep,
of
we
that.
did.
And now we're going to scrimp over here so that we can put money to the WRTA. I don't get that. I'm
Well, because the
sorry.
whole point of the project, why the Conservation Commission agreed to purchase the parcel, and the key to the EPA grant was that this was going to be a continuation of the trail. So the
But it was
trail is-
never agreed that the town would pay for their trail. It's always been the agreement with the town that the WRTA trail will not cost the taxpayers any money, will not cost the town of Tilton.
That's true. And the original
money.
design, the original conceptual design showed a building gone, a parking lot, a kiosk, and a trail tying into a trail.
But it also,
That's always been covered under the Ernie's grant. Our grant, the plan that came back from DOT showed this trail going across Ernie's and across Salmon Run to a bridge.
Yeah.
it was my understanding that we held up all the work on Ernie's for the WRTA because the trail was going to be on that property. That's why we held it up for 2 years.
And then they
And
changed the
now-
location of the bridge.
And, right, because that was still going through the design.
But this whole purchasing of the property was to create open space conservation area for the town. And
Read your minutes.
No, it was
No,
about the trail.
It was about the
It
trail.
was all about the trail.
But it wasn't,
I have all the minutes.
if
WRTA
And a
had the
recorded
purchase and
easement.
sales and came to the town and said, you know what, we don't want to own this.
but the Ernie's grant is not something that costs the taxpayers, if that money is used for a trail.
but
No,
where are we
we're
going?
running out of money on the
I understood
grant.
that.
So my question is, where are we taking the money from that it was planned for and taken to put into the trail itself on the property?
Okay, we're still within budget. There will need to be another change order. The change order that I'm presenting,
Where are we taking money from? Because a month ago, we were not on budget, and
When
we
did we
had,
say a
and
month
we,
ago we were
and
not
we
on
tried to
budget?
get...
No.
Listen to one conversation at one time, please.
Listening.
My understanding when Rip Patton was here before, that we were looking to get donations such as loam and things like that, because that would help towards the cost of things, because we didn't have enough money because of all the change orders.
okay, I didn't hear that. I heard that, what I heard is that we still have our $20,000. We have $20,000 of in-kind match to present. So far, I could document about $9,000, $10,000 of in-kind match from people.
Where are we going to take
But
the
that's
money
not- that's-
from the Brownsfield grant? Where are we going to take it from to put towards the Winnipesaukee Trail?
Okay, I didn't bring all those boulders up. I'm
Now,
right in the midst of
I
doing
understand
the last
what
quarterly
she's
report.
saying. That money was supposed to go to specific things within the property.
Yes,
The
one of
trail
which
was
was-
not one of those things.
Yes, it was. Yes,
We
it
were
was.
going to construct
From
trail
our-
with that money.
To tie into the Winnipesaukee River Trail.
Listen, no, it was never part of it, because the Winnipesaukee Trail was going to cross the river and land on Ernie's, boom.
Right.
And then it was going to go down the railroad corridor.
Right.
It
So
wasn't
the
going to
trail on Ernie's was never a factor.
Right.
Because
It
it
was
only
just gonna-
landed on it and then turned the corner and went down the railroad corridor.
Right.
Yes,
It
but
wasn't
our-
until the bridge location changed, the WRTA changed the bridge location and decided not to go on the western end, but to decide in fact to go and connect to Salmon Run and not Ernie's, that WRTA designed the trail to go across Ernie's and Salmon Run.
What is the
So that trail
cost
wasn't a
difference?
factor.
If we were to not
That's what I
have the
have.
trail,
That's what I have.
they would have had to put something else there, another type of grading or the soil and grade all that. So that's an expense. So we don't have that, but we do have the expense of gravel and whatever the topping is, right? That's the only expense that the trail's costing us?
It's my understanding that our grant application, our $200,000 that we can spend, was going to give us removing the building, making the site safe. Our APCA plan was to cover the soils, remove some soils, cover the soils, have a parking lot of 8 spaces, but that has since changed, and then would meet up with the trail. Okay, so that they were going to build a bridge,
It
and
would
we were
meet
going to
up
have...
with the trail.
Meet up with the trail, okay? Then the plan changed, well, the bridge isn't going to land there, because we were counting on some of their excavation work to help with our soil covering.
See, the
And then when the plan changed, no bridge, and then they drew this all over Salmon Run, and I remember specifically saying to Glenn Smith, so Glenn, your DOT grant's going to pay for getting through there and over
All the
there.
way over to the other side.
And he said, oh, yeah.
So now they're not, and now we're expected to come up with that money out of the
Out
Brownsfield
of the
money.
brownfields money, which is fine, because it's always been part of that whole
No,
project.
no, it
hasn't.
hasn't. The Conservation Commission has always said they are not going to put any trails on that property or Salmon Run. WRTA was going to put their trail when the bridge landed there on the western end and then scoot it out onto the railroad corridor. But the Conservation Commission,
Well, how were you going to get from the parking lot to the trail?
just walk over the land.
Then what was the plan that was presented to everybody when we had our public hearing for the Ernie's grant? That's what was envisioned.
That came from WRTA's insistence. They wanted to connect to the kiosk.
Didn't they vote at the Conservation Commission to have the trail go right on up by the parking lot and right up to the road? So they know there's a trail on that property.
But that wasn't the
They
original.
do know, that's not
That
the
was after
original.
WRTA wanted the kiosk.
But
But
that-
the point is, now, the grant we have for Ernie's is gonna pay for it, or it's not gonna go
Access to
in,
the trail.
because the WRTA's grant can't. So, I can't think, though, that that's gonna be a lot of money.
Well, wasn't the purpose...
Because that sealant, that final layer on top of that trail is cheaper than loam.
It's too good to be true, Catherine.
When-
It'll be too good to be true.
When we got the Brownfields grant, we had to compete for it. And one of the reasons for competing for that, and that they accepted it, is
Multi-use.
because it was tied in with that
Yes.
piece of the trail,
Yeah.
and that it did give access to that. So
Yes.
we, you know, I'm...
How much
I'm
money are
playing
we
both
actually
sides here.
talking to
Also,
create
it doesn't
that?
cost the taxpayers.
What's the
I don't
difference
know
I don't think it's much.
the dollar amount. I know that for the
the gravel and
We
cutting
don't
out
know-
the trail and all that?
I don't know. That will be the next change order. I don't know.
So it's going to cost us extra money, it's going to take us, take from somewhere else on that.
I don't think it's going to
plan.
be much.
I don't think
That
so
whole
either.
site, the whole site is going to be churned up, the whole site, because they've got to put that fabric down. The geotextile fabric's going over the whole site. So everything, including those stumps, have got to be disturbed. The whole site's going to be disturbed. Then they're going to have to bring in fill. Well, whether there's a trail here or not, there's going to be fill.
Same type of fill?
Yeah, it isn't going to matter. Fill is fill. It's the finish coat.
So as.
Now, I don't know if that
Ledge
trail
pack.
is going to have specific elevations for ADA.
It has to be.
So, that might,
Yeah,
there
I
might
know,
be a
but
cost there.
knowing it, but we know what the
Yeah.
elevation is.
Well, I know that there was a trail, part of the path in Riverfront Park was put in at least twice
Okay,
because it didn't meet
right.
the standards. So that's a cost. But the final coat, which is a ledge pack they're putting down?
Ledge pack.
It's a lot cheaper than loam. So
Okay.
technically, I can't see,
Big cost difference. Now, the plans are already done by WRTA for that section, the grading of it. I've already paid for that,
No,
Kadiri has designed it.
because Gary's designed it, so,
with the Conservation Commission.
with the Conservation
So we're
Commission.
paying for it.
We're paying,
That's part of this.
Not we, the taxpayer, but we, the grant.
We, the grant,
Right,
right.
the grant.
with the grant, okay.
I don't care, I got my turtle nesting area.
But when the parcel was purchased back in January of 2011, there is a recorded memorandum of agreement, which Catherine Dawson and I have been talking about just about every day,
I've been watching all the mails and that.
that there's a deeded, they didn't want to put it in the deed, they wanted to do an agreement, but when we finally figure out where it's going to be, there will be a deeded easement. There just isn't one right now, but it's agreed there will be. A deeded easement, a minimum of 12 feet across the property to the railroad right-of-way and/or the trail, location to be determined.
But there isn't going to be one now. Because WRTA's trail is officially ending at the boundary of Ernie's property.
And the point is,
There wouldn't be a deeded easement.
because the trail is ending at the property line, there wouldn't be a need for an easement for a trail on the Ernie's property?
No, not a deeded easement.
The trail would be ours. Why would we?
Trail's ours.
Why
Stop in right at the
But
property.
because you're making them maintain it.
Yeah.
That's a different agreement.
If
Now,
we're
that's
gonna-
a separate agreement.
Oh, I know why, because we had before, well, see, now that does change, because it isn't DOT money.
Yeah.
That's
What I'm
right.
saying.
It isn't DOT
So why
money.
would we give them, and besides which, someday, we should be so lucky, that the location of the trail will change and go on down to Salmon Run and be on the bridge. So WRTA would have a deeded easement up on one side that at that point wouldn't be used, but they'd still have a deeded
But
easement.
we don't need to worry about that right now.
No,
We're going to work
I'll
out
be
some
dead
kind of
by that
document of
time.
maintenance. We'll have to change the one that's floating around out there because there's no
The
light.
other reason I bring this up
And I
is
haven't
because
eaten any
in
chocolate
this
or nothing.
memorandum of agreement, and this will be something else that will be
And I'm
part
not
of this
drunk.
TE work that's being done, grants a temporary staging area for materials and
Yeah.
equipment for use during the limited time of active construction of the trail and/or pedestrian bridge, and a temporary construction easement for construction equipment to access the railroad corridor at the back of the property. So that we would still need.
And that was already agreed upon.
Yes, and then the other thing, in the email that I sent you, which was the synopsis of the conversation that Glenn Smith had with Tom Jameson, he said to make sure that in that TE grant, that they will continue to keep all the money for the signage, to restore the property when they go in, if they access on Ernie's, and what was the other thing? There are a couple other things in there they had to still do.
Do you want me to give you a pot stirrer?
Yes.
Oh, please.
How, if they cannot, basically from listening to Quantum, set foot on that property design or construction, how on earth are they going to construct and put it back
If they can't touch it.
if they can't touch it?
August 1st, Joyce. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
I asked you, you said yes. Everybody heard me ask.
Well, then, you know what? They'll just give us the money. They'll give us the money.
I like your style, Joyce.
They'll say,
But
well,
I
then if you
think-
can't do it, you give us the money.
In order to get through this, the Conservation Commission has to, the highlights, consider the change,
Yep.
try to get past their grant, our grant, who's paying for it, somebody's grant's going to pay for it. Quite frankly, to me, the trail's got to be there, so it doesn't matter whose grant pays for it, really. As long as we can get everything done on Ernie's, when the Kadiri hasn't said we can't,
That's right. We heard them.
that's all they need to decide. For that part, to satisfy Quantum and DOT's, the DOT grant and the August 1st deadline. I assume that Quantum and Kadiri have connected as far as how the trails connect?
Not yet. That was one of my last emails to Rip. When Judd sent me the plan, the landscape plan, I immediately emailed him back and said, have you talked to Quantum yet to make sure that this plan shows exactly at what station? Because remember, we were looking at the plans, the big plans is supposed to be Station 310.
Yep.
Because they had to put in the little curve, so is that going to connect up? But I had,
It seemed like it was skewed a little bit, but that's just them
Right.
making the drawing correct. Because I think, just like we've gotten off the main topic here, I don't want the Conservation Commission to at their meeting.
Right.
I want them to stick to the point. It would be awful for us to create a situation whereby the WRTA loses that grant money.
right.
I don't think their decision on what type of deciduous shrubs to put on that boundary has any bearing on the August 1st, or what kind of fencing. They need to decide that so we can move forward and get the site done. But I think their priority needs to be what needs to be decided to go forward so they get their grant and don't miss their deadlines.
Right. So
And I think the only factor is the discussion we had with Quantum and Glenn Smith.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yes. With Concom.
Right.
Yes. But I think what we need to do is, because Highway hasn't signed off on this yet, we're one step closer now that we got the thing from Bill Lambert, is that we want to make sure that we communicate to Glenn Smith exactly what Tilton wants, and then see the documents, because they're going to be doing a change order at DOT
I've lost you.
on what we want to make sure that we want.
For
That-
what?
That they keep money in their TE budget, because they're not going to be building this until...
Right.
They're going to get their design signed off, they're going to build it next year, but in there, we want to make sure that there's money that they're going to be paying us to, repair anything that's damaged, they're going to take care of all the signage, that they still
Oh,
have
yes.
things pertaining to
Yes,
the trail
yes.
continuation. The other thing that came up was with the wetlands, that their wetlands permits, because they've taken care of everything that's wetland within the railroad right-of-way, and with the trail. So is that going to affect, since now, does that include where they were coming up to the parking lot?
There's no wetlands there. There's no
I just
wetlands on
wanna make-
Ernie's.
Well, when I spoke to
You-
Chuck, Kathy was in the background saying, make sure that we don't have to do any...
There's no wetlands, but you established that you have a turtle nesting place, which is a protected area, and they're going to ask if there's any species and all that.
Yeah, but that's far away from the trail.
Who delineates
So
that?
all these
Yeah, I got
wetland
that.
permits that have
Yeah,
been
it's-
submitted, that those are still valid? They will be valid for...
The concern I saw that seems to be brought up by Glenn Smith and
As owner.
DOD guy, I don't know why I can't, Jameson, is the Winnipesaukee River Basin.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I've got to talk with Rip to make sure that we have contacted the Winnipesaukee River Basin, that what we're doing, now that we have a plan, now that we have a design, to contact Sharon and make sure that...
Now, we must have an easement someplace that allows them, or a right-of-way, an understanding that if
Yes.
they need to dig it up,
Yeah,
they're
it's in the
digging it
deed.
up.
Yeah.
So perhaps all we need to do is acknowledge that we know that that exists, and if we build that there, that they
Yeah,
could
I
come
did,
in
I
and
checked the
dig it
deed
up.
again. It says subject to an easement to the New Hampshire Water Supply and Pollution Control Commission dated September 8, 1976, and recorded in the book and page.
There you go.
So, yes, they do.
So that shouldn't be a holdup.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that, I've been working in conjunction with Chuck in the donation of the loam and fill at the Tilton School, because the first priority of any materials that are available go to the Conservation Commission and Salmon Run, not the Ernie's Grant, because we've got money budgeted for that. And I'll let Chuck speak for himself and when he speaks to the Conservation Commission, but it's my understanding that the loam that's there, which there's tons of it, tons of loam, which I emailed you pictures, it's not, it has been screened so that there's no more than 3-inch size rocks in it, but it hasn't been screened,
Fine screen.
fine screened to where it could be used as loam and topsoil. And you can really see the difference between the two piles. So he didn't know, and I don't know, he's got to talk to the Conservation Commission, if you want to go the route of screening it, transporting it.
Off-site, and then...
Yeah, and, I mean, there's, the logistics are involved. The town can haul it, and there's a time window, there's a window when we can do that, but the highway forces can load it, not load it, haul it over there and dump it. Their equipment, while it's there, will load it.
I think we should take advantage of it, all of it.
I think we should take all of it. I'm not concerned about 3-inch size rocks, because I have to think it's going to be cheaper for us to rent a topsoil screener if we need to,
And to buy topsoil.
than to buy topsoil.
Well, the problem was is that we didn't have room on site
Right.
to set up a screener. They checked into that. So we would have to have it screened prior to having it.
Why wouldn't you have room on site?
You mean,
Screen-
how big
screeners
is
are-
a screen?
Not that big, maybe this side, a little smaller than this
Isn't
table
that- Well,
lengthwise,
they need 2 piles,
a little wider. You have the,
and they
you
pile
have
the rocks, and
the,
what do you do with the rocks that you screen out?
those
You have
get
to have them
loaded in
hauled-
a dump truck and hauled
and
away.
haul back and dump somewhere. But if we screened it off-site, which the Tilton School allowed, I believe,
Right, but that was going to, that was one of the things that Chuck asked me to do, was contact DOT to get permission, because there is a spot where it could be screened off-site, but I just didn't have time to do that this week. So you need permission from DOT.
or if we could screen it up at their property and load it, that's...
Doesn't it remind you of when you get something as a present, and you say, well, geez, I really don't like that, but could we exchange it for a different color, and could you give me a receipt so I can put it in for my taxes? And it just seems so ungrateful.
I know.
You know, because you want it specific, you want it this way, you want it that way, and here, we have a gift. The gift, no matter who uses it, no matter how it's used, it's a gift, and it could benefit the town of Tilton, not just Conservation Commission, the town of Tilton, and we're worried about 3-inch rocks, a screener, the size of screener, where the rocks are going to go after that. Take it. We only have a short window amount of time to take it. Let's take it.
If we can get
Period.
it done off-site, then we'd be all set.
We can't.
We can't?
Where are we going to have it off-site?
Before they load it right up at the Tilton School.
But you're running out of
Because they're gonna be
time.
screening, they are going to be screening as well, for them to use it.
I think, no, they're all done.
They're all
done.
screened.
They're
So
done.
the 17th, their trucks are going to be out of there.
Out of there.
Okay,
Right,
so we've
and
got till the
Putting curbing
17th.
in, and no vehicles will be allowed in there.
Yeah.
That's why he offered off-site way in the back, coming in from School Street.
Right. So that whole thought process is gone. That's back with trying to figure out what color hydrangeas you're going to have.
Pink, I think we decided
If
on
the
pink.
free stuff costs us to screen it, costs us to haul it over, costs us to haul it, the
But
other
as
stuff back,
selectmen,
and pay for the
take your
thing.
conservation hat off for a second. Take it off for a second.
I'm a
I'm
budget
looking,
guy.
I was going to say, I look at just the
I'm
budget.
as selectmen, Salmon Run is not the only place you can use that loam. If Conservation Commission decides that it's too expensive to screen and divvy up and move away and all of that, we, as selectmen, can certainly find a home for it.
So we're if we get, we'll put it somewhere.
Well,
It's
I know
all
we can't
gotta be
put it on
hauled.
Salmon Run, and I'm restricted for anything that could be used for Ernie's. I still don't know if any of this can be used for Ernie's. What the email I sent you, what both Dennis and the construction guy said, well, this screen loam, the rocks there are no bigger than 3 inches. Why don't you use some of that? So get some fill, then put a couple inches of that stuff, and then you're buying less loam. I said, okay, let me ask.
This is New Hampshire. 3-inch rock is like beach sand.
I was gonna say,
So
they'll migrate up anyway, because that's what they did at the 132 ball field.
So if we can, if Rip says, oh yeah, we can do that, Chuck says, okay, but you're limited to, you can only put it,
Salmon
stockpile
Run.
it.
I think so.
No, on Ernie's, not on Salmon Run.
We can't stockpile it on Ernie's.
Well, that's what he said.
Who said that?
This little area right here. I'm sorry, not on Ernie's, this little area right here.
Yeah, you can't stockpile on
Yeah,
Ernie's.
I'm sorry. On this side of
The area
the,
that's not covered under the
Right
brown.
here.
Why can we only stockpile it on that?
that's what he said,
Who, Chuck?
yes. Because I kind of thought we'd have all this room, but he said,
We
no,
go.
just right there.
Round the rosary again.
And so why can't we stockpile it underneath?
Oh,
Because they're gonna
be putting
disturb
down
the
their-
entire
their,
site.
Right up to the
Fabric.
brook they're doing?
Oh, yeah, all right. They just have to move it again.
Well,
Go-
I think
go-
a conversation needs to take place with Chuck on Monday night as far as why can we only use a corner of Salmon Run when we have this opportunity? But I say take it all.
I say take it all.
3 all day.
And depending on the topsoil screener, some of them, you can park a truck under them and the stones come right out into your truck and off you go. Some of them, you need a loader to pick it up.
Yeah, now this was ripped to Chuck. If we are accepting the risk for the soil, I think we need to collect some additional soil samples from the actual fill pile. That way we can look at the actual material and make sure it is appropriate for reuse on site. We are in the area next Wednesday and can collect soil samples then. Also, can you clarify our responsibility for erosion and sedimentation control? Are you saying we need to install it, or are you saying the town would install it and we would inspect it to make sure it is so? Volunteers had offered to install the silt, to install fence and all that, but not pay for the materials, but we'll go out and stake it and put up the fence. And he said, yes, we'll restore Salmon Run parcel to at least its current condition. And Chuck said that, no, it should be Crederi that's installing the siltation fence and the stakes. I mean, homeowners can do that, why can't,
On Ernie's because
can't
of the
we?
contaminated
No, on-
soils?
around the,
Salmon Run.
around Salmon Run where the,
Why would
where it's being-
Crederi be doing that on Salmon Run?
The only reason why they do it is if it's near a pile that's stockpiled of the loam. So if
Yeah.
we're getting the loam and they put up that area to protect the loam from washing down in, and then I
That's
would
our
think-
responsibility. It's on the town of Tilton property, it's not on the Brownsfield Grant property.
But
If
it's
the
for
town
this.
of Tilton,
Really
doesn't
got to
matter.
move forward from Ernie's.
Yeah.
We've been on this now for an hour.
If,
Come on.
you know, we're getting it, we're stockpiling it on our
August
property,
1st.
that's not
We'll
Crederi.
have this conversation on August 1st. I
don't
want
wanna
to see
pay
if we
them to
get
do
the
that.
grant.
We're not going to be any further ahead
They
on
can
August
install
1st,
it.
trust
Oh,
me.
that would be bad.
okay, this is change order.
2-year project, and we're still here.
Give me a call. I got a sledgehammer. You got a post driver?
So the word is, we're going to take it all.
Take it all.
Take it all. We're taking it all.
We're taking it all, Catherine.
To go print it out. Oh, no. Had it, because I did my due diligence. I tried to anticipate every single question that Catherine Dawson would ask.
Good luck with that.
We also need to get that driveway permit signed and in.
Yeah, let me know how that works.
I don't know. I want my
All that's
Kimball.
needed, all that.
Motion
All
to
right, let me
adjourn.
move on, but I'll have to print this out, but basically, this is our next, this will be change order number 4, which I have to go print out for you, but these were the questions that I had. The bulk of it, it's like $10,000, is for design services, that's for Weston's fee. And I said, well, you got to break that down, you can't just say $10,000 for this. I said, so break that down. And he said this change order is 100% for Weston and Sampson. He said, "We figured we would hold our time until we get the final subcontractor cost to give us some cushion just in case. Not that I think it will be a problem." And then I have the bidding. Does this include the time developing the specifications and obtaining estimates? Remember, once you guys decide what you want, he's going to go talk to the landscaping companies and see what he can get for prices. And he says, "Similar to above, we will get this done at no charge for now, but we'll include it in the final numbers." How many meetings? Meetings for soil cover only? Does this include the meetings we've had on site, the Selectmen's meeting, and then the most recent meeting with the Conservation Commission? Rip, it is for the 2 meetings we have already had. I can meet with Concom one more time to finalize the design. They will want to know more detail on how you arrived at the 10,000, so the more detailed the breakdown, the better. Rip, it is a lump sum charge from Weston and Sampson. I will ask them for a more detailed breakdown. That's what he sent me, that detailed breakdown. So this change order is for design services, bidding, meetings for the soil cover at the Ernie's Park in Tilton. Once the design is done, we expect to submit one final change order to implement the soil covering at the site. We won't submit this to you until we have the final design and the final contract numbers from our subcontractors. So now we'll have to include in these final contract numbers and subcontractors this cost for the paying for the ledge pack and the trail.
It's a TRC, task description.
Say again?
TRC, says task description, meeting with the Conservation Commission, park design, and TRC.
Have to email them and ask them. Well, either way, it doesn't look like you're going to be signing it tonight, so
Well,
the more questions.
I have no problem signing it. I was just curious.
The only other thing I have, you saw that we got the Windy Hill.
Well,
How much money is left?
after the change order,
It would show on the change order that I
where's the change?
I haven't, it's supposed to be right here. I have to print it out. You want to hold on? I'll print it out. Thought I had it.
I think that would be important to take care of tonight, you know, hydrangeas and stuff, wait till next week. Oh, I'm not gonna be here next week.
Joe, have you seen this?
Talk about it.
I would love to see
The
it.
trail?
I just assumed it wasn't
I
coming
don't
this
know, I
way.
was trying to,
think it was-
that's what I was trying to, Trail River Committee,
Yeah, that's what I was.
Trail,
Because well.
rah. I don't know. I was curious more than anything.
River Trail Committee.
Yeah, see, it doesn't work.
Tilton River Committee
I
Trail.
don't know.
River Committee.
You guys are doing what I was doing.
So, figure,
All right. While she's doing that, let's do minutes.
Bring the minutes of June 12th, 2014 to the floor for discussion.
Second, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
aye.
We did these last week. We did these last week.
No, we never did.
Yeah, I've got all my corrections here. The chief was sitting next to you. I said the beginning of the, on page 2, and his year's training was on,
The 12th.
and you got a question mark there,
I thought that was we did the 12th one.
was it?
Yeah.
Maybe maybe I dreamed it.
I've been on your mind.
Yeah, we had this conversation. Okay, page 2. This is June 12th, right?
No,
And
19th.
yet,
Okay, he said June 12th.
I actually said 12th, but you know what? It was supposed to be the 19th.
Okay, messed me all up. I'm going reading these
No.
minutes, I go, we already did this.
I was wondering why you said that.
See, I listened to you.
Look at what you were reading.
The first time, and see that what you get.
All right, thank you, boy, that hurt.
Thanks.
Making, you got corrections?
No questions.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll abstain as I wasn't here.
One abstention. Joyce, this change order, $117,050, is that how much is left, or is that how much is being spent out of the 200,000?
That's how much will have been spent out of the 200,000.
And how much is, the rest is already promised to something else?
The rest is left to do the final landscaping.
And what is the estimate for Cundiri? Will there be enough?
For final landscaping,
For the final project, to go from what we have now to a finished project, as per the design? Parking lot, shrubbery, trail.
he had, well, all of that with the exception of approximately a couple $1,000 for, I'm sorry, $5,800 is still not spent for post cleanup. They have to do some sampling, groundwater monitoring, and some, so the balance is all for the final cover
But
landscaping.
what is his estimate of what that final is going to cost us? Is that enough money to cover it? Because there was a conversation when they discovered the hydraulic lift that really wasn't there,
That we weren't going to have enough money.
that we were short.
And now it's okay?
So
It made it sound, when we spoke to him on Monday, that he said, oh, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Oh,
That's the email right now.
that's interesting.
That might have been
Comes a
something that
problem all
cost
of a
less.
sudden. Surprise!
And we heard from Rick Silverberg about the private purpose fund letter we're waiting for WRTA to send.
When I went on to email right now, I got an email from Eliza asking if I can find out from the selectmen, are they going to want more than the $10,000 already determined for trail maintenance? The original was for 10,000. The original conversation was for 10,000.
We should only be worrying about the agreement we have in place right now is for
10,000.
10,000. Is that what it is? It's over on my desk, I'm not going to get through that pile. So as far as this selectman is concerned, I want to see that private purpose fund opened with that amount in it, and then whatever else we determine they'll have to put in because of Phase 2, then they'll have to figure out how they're going to raise and appropriate and put that in there as well.
Do you want to make that a motion?
Didn't we?
We already did that.
I think,
No, right now, we have an agreement with them. They're only obligated to $10,000. That's the agreement we have.
So I can respond?
What does everybody else think?
I'm totally on board with that.
That's the only agreement we have.
But there's already an agreement in place.
Everything else is conjecture at this point.
Right.
Eliza. The selectmen?
Yeah, all right. Let's move forward.
Well,
All right, the change, you got questions on the
change order.
minutes or the change order? What do you want to do first?
Minutes?
no, I can ask this question when it
Okay.
comes up later. But the private purpose fund is going to hold up my vote.
On the change order?
No, the change order is the change order. We've asked them to do the work, they did the work, so I think they've done it satisfactorily. That's the question, so I guess we pay them for it.
All right, did you find the paper to sign for the change order?
It's on the back. Do you have an original, or any one of these will do?
Anyone will do.
Make a motion, we sign the change order of July, I guess it's dated June 18th, 2014.
Number 4?
Task 12, site covering design services, $10,000.
10,000.
Project number 12001162. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Oh, discussion?
Yeah. Joyce, this change order is a lot more than $10,000. This is change order 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No, read down, it says,
I says change order number 4.
yeah, we've already approved these.
Project impacts estimate of the $10,000 lump from this change order.
Yeah, this is the total
Only.
amount of change,
This change order only.
because you've already approved.
This change order includes the following items.
Yes, for site covering design services.
Okay, but this says here, these services are to include conceptual
Outstanding,
plans,
did you?
one revision of
That's
plan
a wonderful
details.
thing.
Previously held meetings with Terry and Tilton Commission.
Oh.
Okay, all right, I'm comfortable. Okay, good.
All
I'm
right.
good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I guess we, all those opposed?
Me.
When Rick comes up Wednesday, we'll sit him down, we'll nail him down. I've got to update this anyway.
I went that way because he said no.
As well, you should, because I won't sign it.
All right.
Just seems weird to me, and,
So, I'm sorry, the question I have out there is on the, private purpose fund. What is the holdup?
I don't know, I just told her, I said the important thing is they want to get the private purpose fund open.
All I needed to do was write a letter. I sent Rick Silverberg that,
I don't.
they just needed to write a letter.
I think that's what Eliza's doing, and then she said,
think I
she
did
goes,
that
how much do they want? Is it 10,000 or do they want more now? And
Because of the lighting thing.
I responded and said, it's 10,000 for this.
Quite frankly, it shouldn't even pertain. We're just getting the fund created. We're not even at the point where we're putting
The
money into
original
it.
agreement, right.
We just need to get it created.
Right.
Well, I didn't know exactly what was requested of them, other than
We just need to, the original agreement was 10,000.
They just needed to produce a letter that
No.
describes what the fund is for, and that the selectmen would be agents for the fund. That's
Right.
all they needed to do. Then with that, we can then create the fund.
Right.
Then we can say to them, we want X amount of dollars. That's why the amount didn't pertain.
That's why it's different, yeah.
And that's unfinished business from Phase 1. I'm not ready to move forward with Phase 2 until that's pretty well in our hands.
Okay.
I emailed her, so
Phase 2A is from where it leaves off at Mayor's
that's a whole nother agreement.
to, yeah, right, well, Phase 2A now is going to be from where it leaves off at Mayor's to
The line.
Ernie's property line, and then that's Phase 2A from DOT requiring that, or the board requiring that for being in the railroad right-of-way, and then will be a separate one for the trail maintenance on the Ernie's piece,
Okay.
if I understand correctly. Windy Hill Housing Cooperative was awarded a CDBG, the $12,000 CDBG grant, feasibility study grant for infrastructure improvements. So with the board's permission, I can go ahead and, remember how we have to advertise for a consultant for the project? So I'm requesting your permission to go ahead and put out the RFP for the hiring a grant administrator. And I have all of the emails, addresses of all the qualified CDBG grant administrators. And the ad is paid for by the grant.
By the way.
Okay?
Do you need an official vote? or-
No, just, if you,
Yes,
you
by all means
open up
do.
the paper and you see an ad saying that you're
Yeah,
accepting requests.
Gee, I don't
for
remember
proposals.
hearing about that.
That's the same as like we did with White Rock to get that
Yes,
process.
same exact
Same
thing.
process.
Same
grant.
exact thing, okay. And then, did the driveway thing get signed yet, Catherine?
No, I didn't see it come out.
Then
To be
everybody
signed is somewhere.
should have received your copy of your collective bargaining
I
agreement.
didn't see a to-be-signed folder.
Is that it right there?
That's a FYI.
That's FYI? You got the to be signed?
It's somewhere, I haven't seen it yet, but
It's a green folder. What's that in front of you, Josie?
This is taxi.
I don't have it.
I don't have it. Well,
Because there was only one thing in it. There was only one.
I looked for it earlier to see if there was a signature for,
I'll run downstairs and see, but I thought it was.
to
Oh,
put,
this was in a separate folder because it was confidential, correct?
that was laying on top of, what's that?
I hope our guest
This is
didn't-
weak.
It wasn't on the table and our guest picked it up by mistake, else I think they would have brought it back by now.
Wasn't here.
See it on-
Oh, it wasn't here?
Because Cindy's day off got signed, I went to look for it and it wasn't here.
Right, well, this came up with me.
With you, right, and you gave it to me, I went to look for the to-be-signed folder. Did Joe sign those?
But where would the deed have been?
It was
In its own envelope.
own envelope right on top of this. Can you give me the payroll? Did you sign the
Wait,
payroll?
hang
I think
on.
I'm gonna
The-
melt.
The
Yeah,
deed
no,
there?
that too.
no.
Accounts payable, I mean.
Cindy took it.
Right, but it
I
ca-
sent
the question
two
is, what did it
packets.
come up in? It came
Okay.
up by itself. in
That's
an
all I
envelope.
saw.
They're sitting right over there.
You signed them though, right, Joe?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you want to sign Cindy's and Weeks?
Paid time off, no. Right.
And you don't want paid time off?
Well, no, I signed the paid time off. I didn't see that one. I think I already signed those two. I just didn't see the paid time off.
Yes, these are done.
Yeah.
Welcome to our sauna.
I think it dropped about 4 pounds so far. Here we go.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I've been up here all week.
So these go in my compost. Okay, so everybody got their copy of the new collective bargaining agreement?
Is it in here?
No, I emailed it. I didn't
Yeah,
print them out.
I
Oh,
remember seeing it.
no, I didn't see it.
I can print them out for whoever.
I did, when
We
you
already-
sent it to us, I mean, a week or so ago?
No, just Monday, the 1st.
Didn't we already
July 1st.
sign that?
Yes, you signed it, but this is all the complete signed.
So we can I can print
This
it
is-
out at another date
what
and put
his-
it in the employee
I'd like my
manual.
own paper copy if I
Okay.
could. But I did not see the copy from you for the CBA. I saw the one with Peter Phillips that was going to be signed, but
June 23rd?
Would have been the,
CBA
either June
contracts.
30th or July 1.
I've got-
'Cause I
got
remember I
The
sent
CBA
it-
contracts from June 23rd, got an email.
June 30th.
So I sent it to you, to Peter, the signed one I scanned, put our original away, I gave the original to Luke, and I scanned it to you, Peter, Luke.
No.
I'm sure, okay, I apologize. Did you get
I
it?
did, yeah. Well,
I think that we should just put them on our drives in our dashboard, and we'll have it.
Okay.
That's all right?
But do all of you take, oh, because you can access your,
23rd.
I access the
That's not
Google
the
Drive.
sign.
that's not the signed one.
Is
It's
there,
not
I
a
access the
signed.
Google Drive on
No
my
changes, but
computer.
you really want the signed one.
yeah, to keep for records.
Yeah.
June 26th. You
We
signed
don't
it.
need a hard copy.
We-
Okay.
No, you don't need a hard copy. I do, because I'm up there and looking through it.
And I sent emailed a signed copy to the PELRB, and then Peter has drafted. Thanks. A memorandum, a PELRB modification petition for the Tilton Police Bargaining Unit. As you may recall, the key changes to the unit are adding the positions of patrolman, police prosecutor, and communication specialist.
Right.
The name of the union is also being modified somewhat. The petition reflects these changes and otherwise would serve to make the state certification consistent with the contractual recognition clause. Let me know if you have any questions. And that shouldn't be a problem. So that's the, Peter is signing for the town. Ron Skasha is signing for
Right.
the union.
That's all it is classification.
Yeah. A mutual agreement for the public employer, Town of Tilton.
So this is the driveway permit for the conservation area. That's
The
what's in
driveway
here.
permit for Ernie's property, not Salmon Run.
It says for conservation area.
Right. Well, then I put conservation/park.
Okay.
Why are there only houses? This is just to let you know what is currently being for
Whoa!
This is my original, but I don't
This is
have
too much
Oh,
information.
here's one.
That's at least a birch tree we cut down.
Now, there's only like 2 documents that are in Word, which I will email to the board. I'll scan the whole thing, but there's only 2 documents in Word. I just want to just quickly run through this, and then I'll go sit down. The first one is the form that's used for all of the town hall administrative employees. This was developed by the prior town administrator, and it's been in use from 2007 to 2013. At this time, right now, I'm just recommending that we change the rating scale from 10 levels of performance to 4 levels of performance, because most of the sample performance appraisals that I have gotten from other towns, I think we're the only people that used a scale of 10.
You know, I got to interrupt. It's not the scale that bothers me, whether you're a 10 or a 5, top is top, excellent is excellent. It's questions it asked. Some of them are repetitive. It doesn't address a lot of issues.
Why did we have to use somebody's evaluation and deduct the information out of it? Why couldn't we have had a blank one to
I
use?
tried to get a blank one, I was unable to get one, because according to our records, this is the ones that have been used. They have 2 for PD. Do you want to go to PD, or do you want to go to highway?
Where we started?
So I'm just showing you what's in effect now, okay? Highway Department, their job descriptions are similar to the admin, but each evaluation is specific to that position. The one at Town Hall has been used for all positions. The next ones are PDs that Pat is referring to. And the other thing I noticed in trying to find a copy of the prior evaluation forms, I was able to get one from Ryan for the supervisors, a blank one, but the one from the officers, they didn't have one, and the last time...
Why don't they have one? That's what I really just...
One to you.
Well, you've got the new evaluation form.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize, see, I know the Board of Selectmen review the police evaluations. Copies of the police evaluation forms should go in the personnel files. Yeah. The last one that we had, and the only reason I went in with Catherine and looked, for accountability, Catherine does the filing in the personnel files. I said, Catherine, I'm going in to look because I don't have one for the police officers. And the last one in there was from 2010.
The issue being that you've been keeping the personnel files up there once you've done your evaluations on them, and they should be kept here as HR down here in the personnel files. And that's what should be. You can make a copy and put them in your file up there for an evaluation for in case you have something that requires you to forward that on. However, the original should be at Town Hall.
Now, I know he gives you an envelope, and the board all reviews the envelopes. I just assumed that you got the envelope.
Well, what was happening, I think, in the fairness to what's been happening is, once we've approved that, then they've gone back for the signature. And then that's when, and then they've never come back.
So then they should stay here.
And they should stay
They should be
here
signed here.
and let them come for the signature here.
Or he just brings the whole signed envelope back, and then we got it here.
Well, that hasn't been working though, has it?
Well, he hasn't been told that he have to come back.
Well, and the other, so when I asked the chief for what evaluation forms are we using, those are the ones that you see now, where it says Tilton Police Department Police Officer Performer Appraisal Instrument, and there's one for civilians. I have never seen this form before. I'm assuming, have you seen it before?
Last year we used
Last
it.
year you used it?
Yes.
Last year was the first year under police, civilian employee performance of this one.
Well, we haven't gotten that far.
2 years ago.
Merit created
Oh,
that.
that would make sense, because the last ones I have in the personnel file, that's why you have one that's redacted, is 2010. 10, 11, 12. No, I don't have the 11. So I'm missing 11, 12, and 13.
I would say, I think it was 2 years ago.
So there's 13 pages to police officers.
15, isn't it?
Yeah, including the cover. So 15 pages, and the civilian employee would be,
There's 2 of them, right?
Oh, that's what we use for everyone.
the civilian?
Yeah.
What about the patrol officer? There's one here that says patrol officer.
Yeah, I think they just changed the title on them, so if it's dispatcher, they
Well, I have 2 here. Which one is it?
This
Is
is
it
what I-
civilian or is it patrol
That's what I
officer?
got from Ryan.
It's the same form, they just tailor it to the position.
Well, it's not the same form then if they tailored it to the position.
I mean, the format.
The format might be the same, but it's certainly not the same form.
No.
And the last document is one,
Well, let's not go further, because I don't want to,
I don't recall ever seeing these forms.
the police, that's why I had such an issue with the last couple of years, is because the police have used very different forms than what highways used.
I heard you say that,
and
but
we-
I haven't seen these forms.
And, you know, when you evaluate a police officer on these duties, which are very thorough,
Oh, yeah.
you're giving a clear, in-depth evaluation on what it is he's supposed to be doing on the job.
Yeah.
When you do this evaluation on an officer, it's a general overview, hey, you're a good employee or you're not a good employee.
Yeah.
And it does absolutely no justice to the employee. Here, too. I mean, your job as town administrator is very different from land use, you know, I mean, it's extremely, but we use the same evaluation for it. You know, and we try to, as much, take the individual and then rate them as what we see as pertains to their job description, but then we have to look back on the job description and say, okay, well, how does this person rate because of their job description? We need to come up with a expectation, a general expectation of employees that we can cover on evaluations that's going to be more in-depth than what this is right here, that can zoom in on their task and duties, that we don't have to have 4 different forms for different peoples.
The civilian employee, one of the police department, would work here.
Or that basic format, that certainly
I
have
think it
to
would work here
tailor
very
it.
well. Covers more than what ours does. Allows for comment, you know, explanation, if you will. I like the superior, exemplary, competent, needs improvement, unsatisfactory. That's a lot more explicit than 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And I
Even
like
as
the
not
5.
applicable. You know, and then there's part 2 is, you know, performance goals and objectives.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm surprised that the
I
other
don't like
ones
the extra
didn't have
line through it, but I like
We
that.
could make it cleaner, I'm sure Joyce and
Oh, yeah.
can figure this out and make it cleaner.
well,
And to the employee without saying police on it.
Yep. And then the final one is one that Pat and I have been working on, I'll say it's for managers, because here we have department heads, but we do have some managers.
Right.
And so this is a working draft that's specifically tailored to a manager.
Manager.
But wouldn't, like, the public works director work for that?
It's the very last one in your packet.
Actually, that civilian police employee that
like
would
that
work
one.
for Public Works, too, for the most part.
Yeah.
Initiative, risk management, safety, problem solving.
Okay, I don't seem to see that in here.
Very last copy?
No, we have a police chief.
I have police department,
And the police chief is the very last.
performance
Chief of police.
evaluations,
Yeah,
chief of police,
that's it.
and then I have police officer, I have civilian, unless it's somewhere somehow stuck in.
No, I don't have it.
Nope,
What is it supposed to be? I have chief of police.
nope.
No, I have a different one. Well, maybe not. Chief of police.
Is this what we have now? We have all
Chief
these
of
different
police,
ones?
okay, we're golden.
With the exception of the last one, that's one that we're working on.
Okay,
I'm golden.
I have chief of police working draft.
that's it.
That's it.
from a professional
Okay.
manager's.
So the one that says chief of police is the one that we've been looking for, that you were talking about. I'm going to make that first.
Okay.
That's the only one we've been working on.
Right.
But I thought it was important that the selectmen know what forms are being used now. It was an eye-opener for me, because I didn't know these police forms were being used.
Well, I don't want to see this one used ever again.
I don't either.
Not this year.
I didn't
not
like
next
it
year.
anytime.
No.
I would like to see us use,
Here then, when those were created, Jacqueline, do you remember what the history is behind that form?
let's not talk about that.
Well, whatever
you wanna
it
go
is, we
into
can change
non-public.
it now.
Right, we can change it, so, but when
I
do we
like the
want to
civilian
get together?
employee
Do we
one.
want to get together and incorporate them? Do we want to base our evaluations and take another look at this and come back the 17th and say, let's do the chief of police one for the, a general, everybody one, because I really like, not the civilian, I'm sorry, the civilian one.
Yeah. Because that's what I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you
I
want,
like the
I'd
civilian
like to
one.
read through them and come back and,
Right now, yeah, I'm with the civilian police
I
officer.
know that's going to put
Yes.
us off again or longer, but I think
It's
we'll have a
okay.
much more comprehensive
they've
thing.
always been retroactive.
Yeah, I understand.
Everybody's going to get,
Now, what about, and using
Like a
that
savings
scale?
account.
Okay, now what about with highway? Because Dennis, I said, Dennis, don't do your valuations yet, because there may be some changes
Changes.
to the grading scale, so.
Right.
I would take that scale out and put in
But
superior, exemplary,
exempt.
competent, needs improvement, unsatisfactory, not applicable.
I
But
like the
so
1
to the
through
point.
5.
On the highway ones.
On the highway one.
Highway ones are job-specific, and he's
Yes.
accustomed to using them.
Right.
They're-
I mean, what does 6...
But I would put that scale on them.
Yeah, what does 6 mean, as opposed to 5 or 7?
Right, exactly. It's a very, very, very gray area.
So subjective.
Right.
All right,
But
so
needs improvement? Got it. Exemplary? Got it. Unsatisfactory? Whoa.
all right, why don't I do this then, to help, is that civilian one, let me put that in Word format
Okay.
for you. Send that out, that police one, and I'm going to have to redo all the highway ones, because those, I don't know where, he's had those for years, and he just has made copies, I don't have them.
so nobody's going to go ahead with reviews until we determine the
Right.
proper form.
Right.
Because we
I
get
think
to
the
see
police
them all.
department can go forward, can't you?
Those are the
Yeah,
ones you're using.
yeah, we're using
They've
those.
seen them. so-
Yeah.
The civilian one?
Now,
Yeah, both of them, they're in a fillable PDF right now, so like, you just go in and you can type in the boxes, so when you print it, it's all lined up and,
So why don't you send
Tim
her
could
the,
make
why don't you send Joyce the PDF?
I did, you have
Right,
it.
just, yeah, I
Yeah.
just saw it.
Yeah. I guess I
Okay,
got
and
your
then you
question.
can change that, right? You can change it to not say civilian police, you can
Oh, yeah.
change it
Oh,
to
yeah.
town, all right.
Yeah, well, because I can take that PDF and
You
convert it to
weren't part
Word.
of it before, so you wouldn't have been
and then
privileged.
Put it back,
add the PDF.
And if you
and have
had,
it fillable.
we
Tim has
frickin' showed them to
PDF,
you.
he can edit
I
it.
do too.
Oh, you do too, he
Because
can
I'm
edit it.
slapping them all over the place.
Well, I think as a,
So-
That sounds like a plan.
I
You want
think-
to meet back on the 17th?
If you'd thought to ask for it, yeah.
17th, everyone?
This was a
So
learning
not-
experience, just seeing how each one was different and knowing what the
thought
police
you
were
weren't gonna be
using.
here.
So it was a good exercise.
17th I am.
so we're
10th
not
I'm
going
not.
to use any of these forms or proceed with any reviews until after the 17th?
The police department can go forward
The
and
police,
use their
because they're
form.
going to use
Seen
it.
any of these forms.
we need
Those are
it.
what we've been using for
Public
4 years.
Works.
No, but this is a new year. If we are going to start something and align all these forms, shouldn't we just roll it out all at once and make sure? I haven't had a chance to look at any of these ever before.
It's not going to affect it's not going to affect the PD if we wait until after the 17th anyway, so let's hold off because they're contractual.
They already got it.
They
It's
got their
contractual.
raises. It's not holding monies up for them.
Well, except for the others, those that
Well,
were not
2.
union.
It'll be retroactive, they'll get the money,
Yeah, right, 3.
or not, depending on their evaluation.
So,
But we weren't, our intention was never to change the
Lisa,
PD forms.
Lisa's
Our
flying
intention
over
was to
and
change
chief.
the one that town hall was using.
Just so I get an overview, we have a HR department in town, which...
That's Joyce.
That's Joyce, and that's over all town employees, right? So all police, highway,
Town
everybody's
hall, yeah,
information is kept at the town hall?
right.
All the
should
reviews
be,
and
yep.
everything?
It's supposed to, yes.
All of town hall, legal files, employee is at town hall.
Personnel files,
They don't
yes.
Like
keep
highway
offset.
department?
And they're locked.
Yeah, not
So if
offsite.
somebody was to go and ask to review their personnel file,
They would call up,
Right,
would call the HR or talk to the supervisor who would make
they would come up,
process with the HR, and they
Right.
come there, and everything is included in all those files.
right, should be.
And
However, we just found out that the personnel, the evaluations last year and the year before did not get back into our files. We need to get those back into our files.
We're going to rectify that, though,
We're going
right?
to rectify it, that's correct.
the
But
only people
I just wanna
that-
clarify that.
The only people that approve what goes into the personnel file is the selectmen. Nobody can come up and say, "Will you put this in my personnel file?" No. It's only the selectmen. The only people that go in the personnel files to file anything is Catherine.
Right.
That's our internal control.
And if you want to look at a personnel file, you have to go to
in and
Catherine.
look- Well, they come to me first, because I want to say,
So you weren't there that day, because I went and looked at a,
oh, I meant if an employee,
yes, an employee file.
yes, I usually will talk with them and say, oh, okay.
Okay, so an employee gets an accommodation for something. I think we gave some out just last week to the police department. A copy of that would go into his file at Town Hall.
Yep.
Okay.
Always make copies.
And all of those have been putting in there for the last 3 years, but the reviews didn't.
If they come
Right.
through the
All the
selectmen.
PARs,
it goes in
everything. PARs, everything go into their personnel file.
And
Anytime
then-
there's an exception to something, will go in their file.
And trainings,
Yep.
certificates that they were trained, as well as copies of their reviews and their job description, so it's a whole package.
Yep. Things that are.
Well, no, not necessarily, because the training, Dennis keeps keeps track of the training for the highway department and who's gone through what. That's not in individual personnel files, is it?
Should
If they
be.
go to the road committee,
When they get their certification.
if they get a certification, it's different, but if they go to a class at LGC for the day,
Oh,
is that,
If they get a certificate.
right, if
they should give
if
it-
the chief just had a class up at the...
Hello, Pat?
Yep.
Here.
Okay, second floor. They, if the Tilton School just had a class for the officers for a 2-day, that goes in their police
Training file.
training file, which is kept at the police station.
That should be in their personnel files here, so that
Yeah, you,
Things we can't.
Actually, I have a list of what goes in there, and training goes in a separate training personnel file. They
Right.
give us an exact
It's
list
not
of
a
what goes in
personnel
a
action.
personnel
right, it's
file.
not a personnel action. it's
Training's not.
Right.
Not on that list.
I asked that question a couple
Because
years
on the
ago. It's
reviews-
not,
On reviews, it should say something, have they attended all of their required trainings?
Right.
In their review, and that should be a major part of it. And then for the next year, you
It
would
is.
set out the things.
It-
And then a copy of that they did it, should be in their personnel file to show that they did do it.
well, typically, it's a write-off by their
So when it comes
superior.
time to do
Right, but-
Right.
reviews, we can
It's-
say, this is
right,
done.
but as soon as the captain and the chief sign off that they've done it, that goes into their personnel file. That's what goes into the person. Otherwise, you're going to have a room filled with files in Catherine Wozner's office with training, some of these offices that have been through files of training, and you wouldn't have it. You have a separate folder of training for them, and then if there was a difference in an accommodation or something like accommodation or a disciplinary action or something that changed in PAR, an assignment change or something like that, that would go in their personnel file. But
about-
reference to their evaluation, any type of training goals or anything like that that's signed off, it's referenced to their training folder.
Health and safety type trainings, like the sexual harassment or the...
No, that,
Those went in.
would be-
those go in,
okay,
yeah.
So those are like
Right.
state
If I
required
wanted to see what,
personnel trials.
if I wanted to see what training Officer Keeler had been through, I have to go to the police department and look through his training file
We have one file
specifically
for
for
him
that.
for training, yep.
Right. They keep it down at the PD, right. It's not here, because if they are required by court and something come up at the court, then it doesn't open our files up, it just opens their file at the PD, what's theirs. So, like their psychological evaluation when they're hired and things like that, that stays at the PD.
Yeah, those things are
Right.
there. Makes sense.
So, but evaluation, the latest evaluation should be here.
I think, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, I could probably ask Joyce some of these questions later.
No, because I want to eat.
But in their reviews, and when they come up, that there should be specific required trainings listed, and then part of their objectives and benchmarks for next year would to be achieve these specific things, that they met them or did not meet them. I don't
Yeah,
know if
wherever applicable, you bet.
So, I don't want to dwell on it too much. If I have what to wear, I
No,
can-
no, but I just think that this is a good starting
Okay.
point.
And that's the civilian
Yes.
employee, so...
And I'll
this is
send
what-
that so you can work.
Right.
As a PDF, so...
So we'll take a
highlight
look
it.
at this the next couple of weeks at the civilian one,
But
and then the 17th we'll
that gives
put
us,
it on the agenda.
gives us a couple of weeks to behave and to be on our best behavior.
Excellent.
Everybody's always on their best
We need
behavior.
bigger fans.
Not me, John.
We do.
I'm a
All
troublemaker,
right,
buddy.
that's all I have. So,
Really?
Did we deal with Dave Krause last week on that property?
Yes, I sent him, I emailed him your concerns, he emailed me back, he said, Joyce, he said, Dave, just to confirm from the selectmen, you'll be determining the last known record owner, whether or not there was access to the property, and we will be able to determine whether or not the parcel exists with dimensions, so we can ultimately sell to the butter. Let me know, and then I can let you know if you're good to go, and he says, that sounds right. The dimensions will be based on any existing legal description. No field survey work is a part of this estimate. And I said, thank you for the clarification. You can proceed with the scope of work as outlined in your quotation for surveying services dated June 23rd, and this email communication dated 6/30/14. If at any time it looks like your fee will be exceeding $500, because he had quoted between $400 and $500, you must notify me beforehand so that I'm not in violation of the town's purchasing policy, and I gave him the policy. Also, let me know when you'll be coming to the town hall so I can be sure to be here to give you access to materials that you may need.
He's usually very
Is it
good
really
about
going to be that long tonight?
So you know something that we don't know.
Okay, so, what else we got?
That's it.
Now, what about this, this driveway? There's only one place for one person.
Well, I think we should have the board authorize you to sign it.
This is for the Ernie's, the driveway cut.
They know there's 5 people on this board. I'll make a motion to
We can all sign it.
Time
authorize,
for all of us to sign.
We can all sign it, let's all sign it.
all right, let's just cram them in there.
I hate suffocating our authority.
I
when we
take
don't
back
have to.
my, I make a
Especially to
motion
me.
thing, yeah.
Especially to you.
This is the form that everybody in the state...
She's the one
Hey, I didn't sign it. She signed
She's get away with that.
it. Talk to her. Her head's on the chopping block.
All right,
There was a document that,
now, we have to make a decision on the Grange Road Cemetery. There is a cherry tree. I don't know why this keeps changing. Right there,
Yeah, there is.
they want, the PSNH want to cut it down.
Cut it
'cause
down altogether, or just take out the,
No, altogether. Altogether. Or we can tell them just trim it. They are taking these big ashes down in the back,
my hair's been up too long.
and so when you look at the cemetery, if this were the cemetery here, there's 2 ashes here, the cherry tree is here, and from, here's Grange Road. Here is going to be cleared, so we're only going to have trees right on this corner here. That's it. The rest of it's going to be
Where's the power lines?
right here.
How
why are
big
they
is the
removing
cherry
the
tree?
ash?
The cherry tree is about this big.
Why are they removing the ash?
Ash borer?
Oh,
Has it already hit it?
Yep,
That's too bad.
sorry to hit it, and it's, then
Oh, that's my
they're huge
recycling.
trees. And so the
This is
owner
this
allowed them
up
to
here is
take,
my recycling.
butter is allowing them to take them down.
That's been reported to the state, too, that we
I have
have
no,
transports there?
I have no clue, John, it's not my purview to do that, I have no clue. But you can see that ash right here, the size of it, that's one of the ash trees.
Yep.
So our decision is to whether or not we take that cherry tree down right there, or just trim for the wires, and I say trim for the wires,
Trim for the wires.
okay?
Trim up for the wires. I don't want
The-
to remove the.
Motion to leave the cherry tree and have them just trim for the wires.
Big ash
Second.
trees and leave the little cherry
That's
one
right.
alone.
That's right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, there's one
George
other
Washington's
decision
here.
here. We tried to get him to,
That's right where the landowner...
take down the tree, and he said we could, see this tree along the, this goes almost clear across our cemetery,
That's phenomenal.
and Asplund said we can call the number and ask them if they could take it down. Dennis says it's worthwhile having them take it down, but, you know, can we call and ask them, or make a deal, or whatever?
I would.
This is going across, see it? And you can almost grab
Isn't that
it.
amazing?
Wow.
And it really does hinder cleanup in the
Well,
thing.
it's an ash borer is there. How long is it going to be before that one's dead and falling down onto the monuments?
Yeah, but it isn't dead now, is it?
But if there's ash borer in the borers in the
But it's
neighbors,
hanging over
you
the,
know there's ash borers in that tree.
This is why I
Yeah.
mentioned to the state, because they're putting traps up for them, I believe, ash
They have
bowls.
them all over the place. They already know they're up here. We have them in Riverfront Park. We've had them in there for
Traps up
3
there.
years. Yeah.
all right.
I think make a deal, get them to take it down.
Joyce, so can you call that number and talk about it?
Right.
Talk to them?
Yes.
Oh, I got it.
I'll move all my stuff out of the way.
So this Jeff is the one that is in charge? Yeah. And see if he'll graciously take down that tree for us. And that we don't want the cherry tree cut, we just will allow them to trim around the cables.
Right, so you're not taking down the cherry tree.
You have to tell them we're not taking down the cherry tree. That was the board's decision,
Just trim it.
just to trim around the wires,
Okay.
around the cable.
So, because you said take down the tree, but you said no.
Do not take
Do not cut that tree down.
down the cherry tree.
They'll suffer the wrath of us.
All right, I think I can get him now. We'll call him now. So I have to run down the stairs anyway to get a password so I can put that property on our insurance.
Right, and, okay. All right, at this time, we will go into a
We're
attorney-client.
going to recess.
Recess. I was going to say attorney-client conversation.
Yeah, but we actually have to recess the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Good. Now, you'll pardon my, I'm having,
And we're back from
Yeah, we're back from recess.
okay, we're back from recess, and at this time, I would like to make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, personnel.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Check. Yes.
Make a motion, we seal the minutes of the non-pub as they pertain to personnel permanently.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, we have the littering ordinance. I had one question on the littering ordinance. Did you see my note on that? My reply?
No, I'm sorry, I was looking for replies to make changes.
My question on the general theme of it was, when I was reading it, are we going to require, is it our intent to require just multi-units to have trash buckets to put them in, or are we requiring everyone to have a covered trash bucket to put the purple bag in?
Well, if you look at the littering ordinance.
Right.
That has to do with litter scattered, and then the garbage ordinance or trash ordinance. If they're storing bag trash outside,
Yeah.
then it needs to be protected from rodents, birds, mammals, whatever, that may get into the bags and scatter it. Because if it's scattered onto public property or private property, now they're littering, they're in violation of that ordinance. So I tried to carry that through into this ordinance, that if they're going to be storing their garbage outside, then it should be covered.
But not necessarily at the curb.
If they're taking it from a garage or a secured area indoors and putting it out for collection, then it doesn't need to be in cans. I don't, that's me, I don't think it does.
So
Somebody
does
else
that
might.
mean, I see garbage, purple bags sitting out a day or 2 days before actual pickup. And I know that's in violation, but nonetheless, they brought it to the curb, and unless there's some way of I mean, you know, I see the potential for raccoons and skunks and whatever. They're not supposed to bring it out until, midnight of the...
Oh, this ordinance, this one says dusk the morning of or something, right?
Well, before it was different.
No, this is dusk to dawn.
Right, but
Right?
we had already amended the ordinance that people could put it out the night before.
After 5 o'clock.
Right.
That's because we were dealing with downtown.
Yep.
I didn't agree with that, so I didn't incorporate it.
Well,
But this also hasn't,
think that we
you have to
should-
remember, this hasn't gone to the chief to look at it
Right.
as for enforcement.
but I think that we should be reasonable with our request, because there's a lot of residents that work out of town and some out of state that leave pretty early in the morning to get to work. And I know a couple of my neighbors that leave somewhere around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning to get to where they're going. So they put their trash out. Now, fortunately for us, that their trash is in containers with a cover on it. No, not an issue there, but I don't see a problem with it having the night before, because if they're stuck, if we adhere to the night before, they don't have to worry about getting it out that morning. They can get up, go to work, and go. As long as it's not in a place where animals can get it, and so on and so forth. Like the resident down the road from me that puts it out on a Friday for the following Thursday's
Yeah,
pickup,
yeah.
I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But I think all apartment dwellers should provide for trash receptacles for their tenants, and make sure that their tenants are using it, because otherwise you have bags and bags on the side of the road, and
Piles of bags. Some of them closed, some of them not.
Commercial and
some are really nasty.
should have receptacles.
Commercial does.
I don't know how.
Oh, no, not all of them.
Bless the men that pick them up, because I gotta tell you, that what I saw yesterday was absolutely, totally disgusting.
Did you see my note that I put on there to add in something about the cleanliness of these trash
I did.
receptacles? Here's what happens, somebody has a trash can, they throw their trash in it, and they bring it out, and all their garbage aid is what Waste Management calls it, leaks into it, and rotted food, and you get whatever tore open, those just keep getting reused. So the trash receptacles should be kept sanitary or clean, not...
You can't get them to use trash receptacles. Now you want them to clean the
Keeping
bottoms.
them so that they're not causing a nuisance, an odor, or health.
Well, I gotta tell you, it doesn't matter whether or not they use a trash receptacle, because what I saw yesterday was the most disgusting of bags put out on the side of the road. Our purple bags, you couldn't even tell they were purple, they had so many maggots crawling on them.
Somebody had seafood last week. Here is the housing standards that pertains to garbage as far as landlords and tenants. Now, these are, what they cannot do. So a landlord, there is an accumulation of garbage or rubbish in common areas resulting from the failure of the landlord to remove or provide a sufficient number of receptacles for storage prior to removal unless the tenant has agreed to be responsible for removal under the rental agreement and the landlord has removed all garbage at the beginning of tenancy. One of the things that I bring up a lot, they're probably sick of it, and my health officers committee or conventions or whatever they are, is this is a problem. Because a lot of landlords will say, you're responsible for your own garbage. Well, now he doesn't have to provide a location, he doesn't have to provide receptacles. We have these apartments on Main Street. Most of them don't have yards. So there's no place to put receptacles. Where does the tenant keep their garbage? They cannot keep them in the common areas. They can't put them in the hallway. So they keep them in their apartments. It attracts, it attracts
In
rats.
the basement, they set up a sanitary area that's rodent-proof
Yeah, but
and ventilated,
they don't have to if they've said to the tenant,
that you're responsible.
you're responsible. So now I have tenants that have rats in their apartments because they don't have any place to put their garbage. A lot of them I talk to will store it in the trunk of their car.
Well, that's not gonna work this
Now-
time of year.
Right, so, and that's the issue. So the law doesn't really cover it as far as this goes. There's not a lot I can do about landlords.
Can't we make laws that are more stringent, ordinances that are more stringent than the state laws? Make the
Yep.
town.
But
The problem is,
I mean, you can't.
we
do
did
it
adopt
with
this exactly the way it is, though.
You have to consider everyone in town, though, John. You just can't consider the landlord-tenant kind of issue. If you make this, litter ordinance for everyone, you have to, we put a heck of a burden on people, that particularly seniors and low-income people, on the purple bag issue. And now, if we do like having to put a receptacle in there on top of it, that's even more of a
But that's
burden.
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that commercial and landlords, tenant buildings, multi-unit dwellings should provide receptacles for their tenants, regardless of what that law is, because it's just,
Well, I've always
To a
thought,
multifamily, if we keep it to a 2 or more with the landlord situation, I can agree with you on that, because it should be up to that situation. But a single-family home,
yeah.
you have a landlord situation, and some of them are absentee landlords that are away from there, that have no clue to what's going on.
I think that they should amend this
Two or more.
to, even if there is an agreement, that the landlord still has to provide a location for receptacles or storage. I think that if,
Is it just downtown that does not have a location? I mean, are there other apartments?
Some places downtown have a location.
Right, some do have a location, but are there other apartment buildings in town that they do not have locations for the receptacles?
no, most of them, that's not a problem. Most of them will have dumpsters. The other issue is, I think that, and I'm looking at it from a litter point of view, if you're going to be putting your trash out, and I don't care who it is, the night before, it needs to be in a secured container to prevent it from being scattered.
I'm on that.
Before
Who mind?
dark,
Yeah.
before sunrise. It has-
But I get a lot of calls about tenants, calling on other tenants who are storing their garbage on porches, common porches.
And the stink, and the bugs,
Yep, rats.
and the rodents. God, I hate
Just
rodents,
nothing
almost as
bad.
much as lawyers.
Well, a woman
That's redundant,
called
isn't
me 3 or 4 weeks ago. Actually, no, it wasn't that long ago. It was about second or third week of June. She's come out of her apartment. She's on the second floor. She comes out of her apartment. She comes down the stairs, and there's a bag of garbage. And she's got her 2 little toddlers. She called them preschoolers. And the little boy kicked the bag of garbage kind of like out of the way, and there were 2 rats right there, and one of them climbed up the side of his pant leg and jumped off the back and off the back.
Well, I'm
porch.
telling you, that'll scar a kid for life.
Well, I guess
Did me.
it was quite horrifying, and, I mean, rats do bite. They will
do.
bite.
Oh,
Rats
they'll
will
bite,
threaten,
too.
they'll bite.
They'll
So,
Right?
you know, but I called the landlord, and he
It's a single-family.
he was all over it, but, you know, it's like, just like the fishing piers, unless you're there all the time.
Yeah.
Or willing to enforce the ordinance.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to have some teeth from the PD as far as enforcement goes.
Well, the other issue that I had with this, under the garbage one, on page 3, I didn't understand, it might be just a typo.
Probably.
The rest,
Put recyclable, maybe?
Vestibule. Is that a word?
Vegetables, sure. It's like broccoli and stuff.
P-U-T-R-E-S-C-I-B-L-E.
I think she's saying, or putrid.
And, put
I
recyclable.
don't think that this is a word.
Put vestibule.
So, if that, like, put recyclable?
Putrid, no, that's putrid solid waste.
No.
Discarded household waste or putrid solid waste, including food waste and food containers.
There is a word putricide.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's not what you wrote there.
Where is that? Yeah, putrescible, that's it.
That's a word.
Putrescible solid waste. I love that word, putrescible.
I've never heard that word
Isn't that a great
before.
word?
I've learned a new
That's
thing.
pretty nasty solid waste.
That's gotta be,
Putrescible, that's solid waste that'll
is that-
putrefy.
Is it?
those were my maggots the other night.
yeah, that would be
Well, it's a form of the word.
putrescible.
That's the form of the word putrid.
Putrescible solid waste.
Okay.
Food that's
I've
gonna,
learned a
solid
new
waste
thing.
that's gonna rot. Decompose.
Leave it to you to put something like that in there.
I loved it when I saw it.
Catherine, right before placement for collection, on the old one, paragraph before, it said bags of garbage that are put out for collection not in cans or receptacles shall be, and then you were going to insert residents shall be responsible to clean up, and the new one just says bags of garbage that are put out for collection not in garbage cans, receptacles, or in unsecured cans, receptacles.
Well, that was at somebody's suggestion, I think I changed it. I don't
See?
know.
You got it here and then here,
Which one did I send that to you?
Understood.
right there.
She's serious.
What date did I send that to you?
off and try another word.
Can that just be deleted?
Oh, of course, remember, this is the draft.
June 30th.
Because if you
Okay, no,
go
it's
to,
not
we're
one.
talking about that the property owner's
Right.
responsible.
If you
Right.
send me those, I'll put the changes in.
We
It's,
did.
I didn't see them. Well, I wasn't much at the computer today, so if
Well,
they,
I sent, here, John sent you back June 30th.
I saw John's.
And then I sent it back, is it our intent, on June 30th?
Oh, I didn't see
I
it.
think I saw that. That's when you commented about the putrescible.
Yes, I did, see? All
Oh, I
available.
didn't see it. I'm sorry. I've been, it's been a busy
It
couple of
really-
weeks.
It really hurts not to be seen.
I'll look at it, I'll look at it tomorrow.
I can't wait to use that word. on something
Putrescible?
Putrescible
I've
solid
used it
waste.
several times.
Okay,
else. My kids are growing up. Your room is
I'm
putrescible.
just emailing my little comments.
all right.
Good. You're creating putrescible waste.
On the 17th, we'll finish up with the litter ordinance. We took care of it. I had impound area, and that was because Dennis had mentioned to me that perhaps maybe we should just dig out and put a bladder down and try it, and then fill it in with gravel, try it for, 3 months, 6 months, and it would see how many that we would have to do that, but I guess it's not going to work, right?
Well, I made the comment that we're creating contaminated waste. It's only going to take one vehicle. might be one vehicle in 50, one vehicle in 100, or one vehicle in 5, to leak antifreeze, gasoline, oil, hydraulic fluid, something into those soils. Now they're immediately contaminated. And what do you do with contaminated soils?
Right.
Not just anybody can move them. The
Right.
town garage can't dig them up and move them. That has to be done by specialized group, and it's got to be hauled away and burned.
A non-permeable barrier that will drain into one area. That one area could be cleaned out, whether it's a sump or whatever, because rain, if that's a concrete pad and it's tilted to one corner, formed so that anytime it rains, the rain's going to hit it, and any contaminants on that surface will run in one direction.
The next time you drive up to a gas pump and you're pumping your gas, take a look at the pad you're on.
I know exactly what
Especially
it
at
is.
BJ's.
I'm a Class A operator.
You'll see around the edge, I actually still have a tool that makes those.
Yep,
And that's designed to contain.
up to 5 gallons of gasoline.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways when you create these pads to have containment. You can put a curb, you can put all kinds of things.
So Chief, you're going to need to go out and get prices and knock on people's doors and maybe donation.
Cover over that
Now you just seal it.
Good seal.
to keep water from rinsing stuff off into the ground if it is.
No, you'd have to create like a berm.
So,
I mean, theoretically, you're not just going to park a car on it, walk away, and come back 2 weeks, a month later. Theoretically, you're going to park cars on it, and somebody's going to be checking those cars daily, every other day. And you got a car that leaks, you need to address
yesterday
it.
afternoon, thunderstorm, car gets hit, or for some reason, somebody gets injured very seriously or killed, you have to impound the car. You put it in there. All night long, we've had thunderstorms and torrential downpours. The car was leaking gas. Benzene leaks into the ground. Is within 75 feet of the Dairy Queen well. It's within there, we've contaminated their well already with benzene. These things,
You know who to talk to?
It's not
Is
within
Rusty
75
Drew.
feet of the
Rusty
parking
Drew
lot.
has an impound yard, fenced, and he's got a pad and everything else, and he's right on the side of a river. I know he had to have DES approval, and he takes cars, and you don't think they're gonna just let him haphazardly put
I'm his landlord.
broken cars? So that pad has no,
This is not something that's out there yet, I don't believe.
well, that should be a crime.
I'm sure we'll do the right thing, we just have to
Because
do more research.
Rusty's stuff is almost entirely smashed up.
It's right next to Bamford Brook.
I know. I assumed that
a lot of
DES was in
those,
on
what
that.
they do is they bring them
Oh,
inside
God.
the garage and drain all the fluids, like junkyards.
I think that's the
Required to
assumption.
drain them 100% before they put them into lots, like junkyards do that.
Yeah.
Well, this is not, in theory, a junkyard, and who's going to do that? And then what do we do with those?
But I think he is
liquids?
required to.
Really? So Rusty drains everything out of those vehicles?
The police aren't required to do that, as a matter of fact, they can't do that, I don't believe.
They're not impounding cars that have been in wrecks.
Right.
They're impounding cars that people are driving down the road and committing crimes in.
Right.
In theory, it's never going to happen. This was never supposed to be anything more than a what-if. But now we're talking about, we'll just put a cover over top of it, and, Jesus, this is getting out of control.
No,
Well, it's like I was driving my red truck 2 months ago. And I came out of one of the stores and I went, wow, I smell something. And I looked underneath, I'm leaking gasoline. I went straight home and I drained my gas tank.
You had to
But
put
I
a
don't know how
gas tank
long-
in it, yeah.
Well, the gas tank's sitting in the back, I haven't done that yet. But the point is, I don't know how long I was riding around with gasoline dripping all over wherever.
You want to see something
And I
go to
park-
VIP, and all the things that go like this, the parking lot goes like that, and there's 2 catch basins.
That's right.
That run directly into the damn river.
Yep.
And you
Those are
look,
oil
and you can
separators.
see where things have just gushed onto the
Yeah, we
parking
made them
lot.
put oil
And
separators.
I park 20 feet from my well.
How's that working out for you?
Not so good anymore. Guess who doesn't park near her well?
All right, so don't drink the water, folks.
Just one thing, until we're sure what we're gonna do, all these cars we can ask somebody to impound them, and they get paid by their insurance companies or all that for impounding and storage fees and all these.
There's
Right
no
now, they're in our
insurance,
parking
there's no
lot.
insurance that covers that type of impoundment.
Right,
These aren't cars that have been in car accidents.
right.
These are cars that criminals have
Police
committed
department.
crimes
Drug
in.
uses and things
know.
like that. Stolen
we've
cars,
never had
and
a
they've
leak.
recovered them.
Mostly.
ATVs, stolen ATVs, things like that.
You know what,
That's different than...
I'll find out.
Yeah, I'll do some research.
I'll find out. I
glad you
have all the
brought this up.
connections. I'll find out.
But in any event, you have to, scrabble around for the
Yes.
ingredients to make one, an impound for you.
Yeah, I'll
All
come
right.
up with a plan.
Because if we're gonna do one, we have to use best practices.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, what else were we gonna do? That's it.
We've done our list.
For the next Wednesday is the rescheduled, after rescheduling the Child Advocacy fundraiser from the Rotary at the Tilton Diner at 6 o'clock. Hopefully it won't rain again. Keep our fingers crossed.
If history teaches us anything,
Right. August 6th is the Tilton Senior Center that the Rotary is going to do for them. I neglected to say at the beginning of the meeting, our hearts and prayers go out to the Kean family. Andrea Kean, who worked here, that was, used to be where Kim is.
Yeah.
Her son was the one that, in Meredith, that died. So, what else? Next week, you're on, remember, I'm not here.
Keep reminding me.
only a day off.
Find me in your trunk,
Ooh, good. Hope you like wine.
tied to the roof.
No, that's where the butternut's gonna be. I'm taking
Even better.
I think that's, July 19th is the Senior Center yard sale. So if anybody has any donations to the yard sale, yay. If not, please come and
Where should the
I'll take it.
donations be dropped off?
at the outbuilding. Yep,
Senior
Senior Center.
okay.
Yep.
Center is having it there, too,
Right there in the yard, yep.
next Saturday,
The July 19th,
July 19th,
July 19th.
9 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
Oh, probably up with the birds, it's 9 o'clock, I believe. All right, now, employee evaluations, we're going to put on the 17th. The littering is the 17th, and we'll still put down the impound question mark as old business. And Chief, that's when you give your report, because the department heads give their report on the 17th. Okay? Remember, department heads. Health report. That's it.
Oh, yeah, all I need to do is print it out.
Okay. You have something for us tonight?
No, just, parade was great,
Okay.
good turnout down there, everybody had a good time. Spoke to, I forgot her name, I apologize for this, but the Island.
Allison?
Allison, yes.
Allison Hartwell.
And she did express something about the roof is starting to get to a point where it should be replaced. It's been 20 years next year that bandstand will have been there. And it would be nice maybe if we could get some roofers in town. It's not that big of a job to help out with that. If anybody knows any other resources
We need to, we need to
help
contact
them to
Northfield.
keep that bandstand going. I also talked to her about possibility, maybe trimming some of the trees and that along there, and do some talk with Chuck Mitchell about possibly getting the state to come along the guardrail on the other side with
I
all
spoke
those
to them about that.
arm things. They say yes.
Bill said that he would contact them. I talked to, District 3, Bill Rollins, And he said that he would talk to the fellow who does that. I pointed out that some of that stuff is getting up to 4 inches in diameter. I don't think the DOT has to worry about shoreline stuff, but nevertheless, it is going to deteriorate that retaining wall, the root system. Joyce, I gave you a copy of the estimate from Chippers for the island tree work and the Main Street tree work.
Sent that over to the town of Northfield, and Glenn responded that he would have their Public Works Director get in touch with Dennis.
Okay.
We'll take a look at
How
it.
much was the estimate for chippers
2,700?
for the,
Does that sound about right?
for all the trees over there? Wow.
I think 2,700.
Yeah,
27. I thought you
talking
said
about
47. I was gonna say,
The road
what?
view, so that you could actually see over there, which helps prevent vandalism and... shows
Right,
off the
but that's
park.
state of New Hampshire.
Or volunteer, if they won't get it done. know.
You don't want anybody on the trees, doing the trees on the island except if,
The brush.
Oh, the brush,
On the
Talking about
riverbank?
Along the river.
I don't think I want people on the riverbank volunteering and dropping it in the river and it ending up in the
We
dam.
discussed about just trying to keep that view open a little bit. And the other thing
where?
was
On what side,
so
John?
that you can see the
The
river,
riverbank.
from, let's say, Cumbies down there,
Yeah.
all the way up to like Salmon Run, all on there, the trees are all growing in, so you can't see the river
Oh,
or the
okay.
island.
I'm talking
They're
about the island.
brush, yeah.
He's talking about the bank on the inside of the river.
The state
going up to
property.
the state property, going up where all the brush is
Along the
grown up.
guardrail.
That's what I talked to Bill Rollins about.
Right. That needs to be done, but
That land is owned by DOT,
Yeah.
not the town of Tilton. We don't own any of that
Well, they would have
land.
liked us to.
yeah.
The other thing was, she asked about getting possibly the bandstand on the sign at exit 20, you know how it says local attractions?
Oh,
There is an empty space on there. For local attractions, they have the outlet malls. She
They
thought,
pay a lot of money for that.
Do they?
I guess there's some,
Yes, they do.
because it's a historical registered place, she said that she's got it registered, that they would, to protect it, that
It's a,
How that
on that
works.
sign, it's a
fee.
tourist attraction sign, and we went through this to try to get signage up in the area, and the state gave away their contracting, and now what they're doing is they're taking local bidding for that, in like Tilton School and Lockmere, and it's only for attractions or like restaurants or something, like Tanger Outlet, Tilton School, which would be
for a donation they would get. then they-
you have to then you have to contact the person that does the signage, the company that they won the bid on the signage, and then you pay for that to be put up on the signage.
And
And that's how that works, right.
Like a yearly lease, or it's...
I don't know exactly how much it's cost, but it's pricey. I believe it's pricey.
You know, somebody who's got,
Talking about?
The tourist attraction sign,
When you get off exit 20...
this exit, Outlet Mall, Spalding Youth Center,
Gunstock.
Gunstock, yeah.
they want to put the concert
Yeah,
series
okay.
on it.
But that's pretty much it, except for the Ernie stuff that's been going back and forth, that we've seen.
Yeah. All right, Catherine?
Two things. One of them, in my travels today, down Mill Street, I noticed that the parking lots that
The overflow.
Riverfront Place, it's Acorn Development, is that company? They're required to put in parking over there when they reached, I don't remember if it was Phase 2 or Phase 3, I think when they started into Phase 2 at Riverfront Place. Those parking lots are gated and locked.
Really?
Yes.
Did they open them during, like, the wedding last week, or you don't know, right?
I don't know, but that when the fireworks took place Saturday, it was observed by one of the park commissioners that there were 3 or 4 people in the park, but our parking lot was pretty well full because there was an event at Riverfront Place.
Yes.
At that time, I didn't know the parking lot was locked, or I would have checked. But the reason I'm bringing up to the selectmen is that we have an agreement with the property owner that the path through Riverfront Park connects to the path to Mill Street. And one of the reasons we allowed that is that if we needed overflow parking in Riverfront Park, they would be able to park on Mill Street. Well, that's not taking place.
So can we get a copy of the agreement and perhaps draft a letter explaining?
I don't think you'll find anything in writing.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
there
you'll
you
have
go.
to refer to Riverfront Park minutes.
Well,
But those were the conditions of that path. There was an agreement, and I think it was only for a year, but that had to do with maintenance of the parking lot. Right? It wasn't only for a year? The original agreement was never signed, and then one was drafted, I think, for a year. Dave Wadley was a selectman then.
Right, and then we tried to do it again, and he didn't want to do it.
That's right. Al is on vacation, but I'll obviously mention it to him next week.
Comes back.
And I'll bring it up to the planning board on Tuesday. The other issue is the camera in Riverfront Park is working. So everybody who thinks they're going to jump off the fishing piers, we're watching. The only thing we can't do is watch it off-site. We have to go there, pull the information out, and then bring it back and watch it. The camera itself, we've had it now for 10 years? 8 years?
Oh, no, it was being installed when I came in 2007. And the park was turned over to the Parks Commission.
That's almost 8 years.
Yeah.
so
That's almost
7 years.
7 years. But, of course, when we bought it, it wasn't new technology. So my point is, the reason we can't view it off-site is that component is no longer available to replace. So we also cannot expand on that system because of its antiquity, which means we cannot have cameras right at the fishing piers.
How much?
One estimate that we have, I believe, is around $2,500.
Guess it's cheaper than new railings.
I'll tell you, the amount of labor that they put into those railings, if
I
we had
know.
to hire it out, would have been twice that.
And if they break off another one, I won't hardly dare ask them to fix it.
So I don't know if there will be money in the park commissioner's budget to cover this unexpected expense.
So we have
17, yeah.
I'm just FYIing you on that.
Wireless camera?
I believe
No.
so.
I think that that's property that we really need to protect. We spent an awful lot of money at Riverfront Park, and I really and truly believe that we have to protect that.
I do too.
So I have absolutely no qualms about getting the right equipment to do that. And as long as we can protect that against the heat, did we figure out in that little room how we can temperature gauge that heat?
Are we putting any of this out to bid, or are we just always using the same? It's $2,500, should be bid out, or that whole security system should be bid out.
We have sought bids from a number of individuals, but only one has responded.
And
We are listening to one. We have one that's going to attend the park commissioners meeting on the second Monday. And
Is that a present?
it's a presentation.
But the present
But
one that's...
Yeah.
the other thing with that, though, John, with security systems, if you go ahead and change with that, because we looked into it at the senior center, they have to go and take away what's there and redo it, so you're asking 4 or 5 times the money for that product.
You still have to get a bid on it.
Oh, yeah, it'd have to be RFP'd.
We are getting a bid on it. We have sent out,
not a problem getting a
we
bid
have
on it.
requested bids.
You
We've been stood up
get
several
estimates
times.
on the cost of
Oh,
it,
yeah.
And
on
we've
the
only had
cost of it,
this-
but you have to also consider, I'm just giving you an FYI, you have to, when it comes to security systems, you have to consider that when you put it out for an estimate, to put in X amount of cameras or so on and so forth, they also have to look at the security part of it, and if it's not theirs, they have to make it theirs.
Find that you might be able to do the whole thing for less and not be charged as much.
Oh,
Well, no.
Trust me.
See, that's part of
It's not
the,
my experience,
That has
but
not been our
maybe,
experience
That's-
here.
if you know somebody, have them bid on it.
it's part of the problem is that we're reluctant to replace all of the cameras we have in existence and all the wiring, which we've been told by several that they would have to take all of that out and put in new. The proposal that's coming before us is to keep the existing cameras, wires, and hookups, and just replace the unit.
The modem or whatever.
I don't know what it's called,
Yeah.
the,
Something that will
I
send
call it
it
the
to
suck-in
here.
system. Sucks all the information in.
You know, the differences from 2007, the security equipment that was available then compared to what's available now, as well as the prices for it. Back in 2007, people didn't have these in their homes. Now everybody has them in the homes. There's lots of stuff out there. It's changed. If we're adding on to an older system, let's get a price for doing the whole thing right, get it done, and get it from a couple different people. We keep using the same vendor, and they keep saying add on, or do this or that. And I look at the fees that we're paying for repairs, and that amount of downtime, and I think it's time to get a bid on the whole thing from 3 people.
If you can find somebody that'll bid on it, that would be delightful. But we have not been able, like I said, we've been stood up. You know,
Let's put it on the website, requesting bids for security system for the park.
we can do that.
Could we get,
I'll work with Tim to do
all
that.
right. Good enough.
I mean, I don't mind, I'm just telling you that the response has not been good.
The response hasn't been there, right? We had the same problem with the senior
You'll have
center.
to try.
But that's the point, I keep telling you, we have been trying for 3 months. We've been trying for 3 months. We've
tried
had
for a
2
year.
people promise to come to our meetings. 2 different people, no association with our current supplier, just stood us up. I've called entities, I think what they want is townwide. I haven't contacted, part-timers, people who do it on the side. I haven't done that. I've contacted reputable companies.
Maybe it's time to take a look at townwide
Might be,
with the technology.
could be, I don't know.
Maybe it's time to take a look at that and say,
Because here, the only thing we have here is the system that Tim installed.
right,
And it's not the type of system we have at Riverfront Park.
no, but we have fire here with the same company, though.
Is it?
Fire is with
Oh, I thought that was connected with the fire district. But anyway, that's what I got. I'll let you know how that goes, and I will
Put it on the
work with
website.
Tim to put something on the website.
Right, all right.
But we're going to have to make a decision quick, because there's a lot of vandals that I need to be catching.
And we'll get some nice pictures of
Yep.
vandals in action.
Problem is, I don't
All
have
right,
30
Joseph.
days to sit down.
I had a meeting with the St. Hilaire brothers and a guy named Dave. Well, they told me his last name, but Dave was from Burlington, and he was very instrumental in setting up the whole Burlington recycle and garbage collection thing, Central Vermont. Apparently, I talked with guys in the business who said, oh, Dave's working over there now? That kind of thing. Very well respected in his business. However, that's neither here nor there. We discussed getting rid of the paper and the cardboard containers, switching from 2 MSW containers to 1, and removing the single stream container that we have now in favor of a slightly larger one to be picked up, which would bring us from 5 containers, 2 of which are 50 yards apiece, to 2 smaller ones. The reason that we have 2 MSW containers now is because the bags from the downtown garbage and the parks, the purple bag, don't fit in the containers. We've gotten a whole separate container for those bags because there are some people who have to bring their garbage to the Public Works garage, and we need to maintain an MSW container down there. And yes, we do, but Dennis has been, I should say, Public Works Director has been hesitant to put all the bags in one container because that just begs the question, well, you're taking away these green bags, how come I have to pay $1.50 for my pay-as-you-throw bag? And my answer to that is I'll stand down there every day for a month during the time they bring it in. There's only a few people that bring it. There weren't that many bags from a week. There was like 10 or 12 bags. So I don't mind telling them that the green bags are from the parks or from downtown because the purple bags don't fit. And after a few weeks, they'll understand what the deal is because that green bag dumpster is not locked. They could walk right over and see the green bags. Why would we have two pickups and 2 container rentals? So I told them what we needed after consultation with Mr. Allen, and they're going to put together the final proposal for our pickup and for recycling and MSW curbside, and factor in the pickup for no cost down at Public Works. That'll save us money every year. Right now, we spend $1,700 in rentals and hauling, according to the last figures that I saw, and we don't get that back from the paper and the cardboard. And so we'll net, plus the added room down at Public Works. They said that they would have something in writing by Friday, the proposal, and they submitted their original proposal on February 3rd of this year. They would make it retroactive to May 1st, but they want a 5-year extension. The merits of which we can discuss when we actually have a final proposal from them in hand. I have thoughts about that 5 years, but we'll talk about that.
So is the dumpsters at Public Works going to hinge on this 5-year extension?
No. No, that's just another part of the puzzle.
Another deal. We're not going to eliminate anything that our residents are able to throw away currently down there.
None of the other containers would go, C and D, the television container, which we own as a town, the household burnables, the metal, all of those dumpsters are going to stay exactly where they are.
Okay.
No changes whatsoever. It would just be in the paper cardboard, yeah. The only people who are bringing in right down there right now is Jensen's. Now, this is information that I've got from Dennis and from residents, is Jensen's, and then the people that live at the far end of Pest House Road, which is only accessible through Franklin, and there's no garbage pickup there. So that accounts for the purple bags. And some of the people at Jensen's really want to be a part of the effort, even though they have their own MSW container that they pay separately for somebody to come in and haul away. They want to recycle, yay. So we should indeed have access to recycling for them at Public Works. I fully believe that. If we can get those dumpsters at no cost to us, yay, that's just one more thing. But I'll have something more for next week, time allow, and we can kick it around and I can like counter-propose or whatever in a week or two. Their offer hasn't changed the same as it was before. And let me see, what else? That's pretty much, as far as the cable franchise agreement goes, Joyce, the cable franchise agreement itself, not excluding the
INET.
police department part of this is in its final form, is that correct?
That is correct. We're just missing that side letter.
Okay. The side letter is a separate thing from this document. They're tied together, but it's a separate issue altogether. And I don't want, we're the last one from the consortium to have not signed the contract. By law, a reasonable offer has been made, and we're required to grant them a franchise. Now, if we don't sign it, we don't sign it, but then we're stuck maybe for the next Board of Selectmen, if it, it goes a month, it goes 2 months, now we've forgotten about it, and in 10 years, somebody's gonna say, duh, what was they thinking? I got a copy of it here, but it's not signed, which is what happened the last time, John. So-
It's all set except for that side letter.
Except for the side letter, which really doesn't preclude us from signing this contract.
That is correct. However, within that franchise agreement that you're signing, there is an Exhibit C there that says INET buildings, but we can't put anything in there because we don't have a side letter.
Okay.
So it does pertain.
Well,
Who's holding up the sign?
So that's-
that's Tim right now. It's a whole thing.
See a I mean, we shouldn't hold it up because of the side letter.
But I will talk with Tim this week. If you're passing by, well, I'll talk to him next time I see him, next week, a couple weeks.
Maura has called at least twice at looking for it.
Oh, she wants to get this done, I know she does. There's issues with the side letter, and I don't know if any of you've talked with Tim about this. There's the issues of who owns the wires, and exactly what does it cover, and he's trying to negotiate with, on the articles in this side letter to get us the most bang for our buck.
Is that in an active negotiation?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
This is ongoing. This is ongoing, but now he's on vacation apparently, so good for him. Good for
Yeah, I
him.
know.
When does he leave?
When does he leave on vacation? This week?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So if on Friday or Monday, you happen to be,
Here Monday.
okay, and you're happy to scoot by, you might ask him about the
Nobody will be here
state.
tomorrow.
We will be close.
Good enough. Lastly, I don't know, are we going to talk about the sewer commission letter?
The what?
The sewer commission letter.
There was
We
a,
addressed it last week.
yeah, there was nothing to act on.
Right, we addressed it last week.
Well, we addressed the issue. I had not seen this letter. There's a very particular letter in here.
More for her,
Right, she wants to keep a record.
yeah.
It's record keeping.
I understand what this is,
Catherine
but I've
Rosa
got...
has spoken with the cleaning company,
Yep, yep.
brought it to their attention, and the matter,
What about the whole concept of having 6 months' worth of receipts in a box under a desk?
there's
Now,
nothing we can do
Between her and
about
the sewer commissioners.
it. Right, we can't do anything about it.
And when did they meet, Kevin? Do you happen to know right offhand?
Third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday, okey dokey. And I have nothing else.
You know, I mean, it's an unfortunate circumstance.
Oh, no, and I agree with everything she said in there. I just wondered how 6 months' worth of receipts ended up in a box unmarked under a desk.
Oh, yeah,
That's what, kind of what,
I get you.
nah. But
Gotcha.
that's a separate issue, and I will address it the third Tuesday. Done, really.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, vote with your feet. Halfway to the camera.
Enjoy Independence Day.
What? I'm gonna stay.
You like this sauna?
Joyce wants to stay. She's been one for a while.